All right. It is so fantastic to see everybody. Really glad you guys are here. My name is Cynthia Good with Pink, and we are talking about the imposter syndrome today in today's Pink Power Alliance Zoominar. And we've got a great group of speakers for you. So I'm really great to see your faces here on the Zoom. And I know we're going to have a few more people joining us in the next couple of minutes, but let's go ahead and get started. The question for you is, did you ever think your success was due to dumb luck? That maybe you weren't entirely up to the task? Well, you're not alone. And I was super surprised when I started researching this, how big these numbers are. According to the American Psychological Association, up to 82% of us have some signs of the imposter syndrome. And here's the thing, it's more common in high achieving women. Yes, that would be most of the people on the Zoom today. It was first identified more than 40 years ago. The American Psychological Association calls the phenomenon something that occurs among high achievers who are not able to internalize and accept their success, often attributing it to luck rather than ability. And here's the worst part of it. It is associated with a fear that others will unmask us as a fraud. And I think that's really terrifying, especially with the past 2 years. The whole pandemic thing really has exacerbated everybody's levels of stress. So this certainly doesn't help. So let's get right to it. I want you to meet our speakers today. First, let me introduce you to Danielle Jackson. She's the manager of diversity, equity, and inclusion at First Key Homes. And Danielle, I know that you experienced this recently when you got a big promotion over there. Talk to everybody a little bit about that and what you were wrestling with.
Hi, everyone. So I would say yes, it's ironic to be here today because Cynthia and I joked that I started my professional career as an intern with Pink. And I think as I've sort of matriculated through my career, I still have moments where I feel like people are going to find out that I'm not ready. I don't really know. And so, it's interesting hearing the high functioning part, because then I find myself like over preparing. I want to get as much knowledge as possible to feel prepared. So it's definitely, I would say it's not a struggle that goes away. I think the more I continue my career, I will still have moments where I have a little bit of imposter syndrome, for sure.
I love it. Thanks, Danielle, for being so open and vulnerable and honest with us. Let's go ahead and introduce our next speaker today. Her name is Michelle Whiteley. And actually, Michelle just took a brand new job just recently. She is a loan officer at Home Trust Mortgage. And I bet this issue crops up for you, Michelle, at work, because I know you're dealing with super, super high net worth individuals. So how does that play out?
So good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Cynthia, for the introduction. Certainly, I can only think about when I first started in banking. I've been in finance 15 years. And the last position that I held was as a premier banker, where I only work with affluent clients. So you had to have a minimum of 100,000 just to get an appointment with me. Well, in the end, most of my clients had millions of dollars. So here I am sitting on the opposite side of the desk, giving them financial advice. And so many times I felt like, really, am I seriously equipped to be giving them advice? They should be giving me advice. But at the end of the day, it was really about building trust and showing that they were important to me, and regardless of what their balance sheet looked like. And it really wasn't about my account size, my dress size, complexion, none of that mattered. It was really about building that relationship.
Right. And you do what you do, and you do it well. So that is really a great glimpse. And now we want to go to one of Pink's featured coaches. She is super remarkable. Her name is Honey Berger. She's the CEO of Joy Vault, which is a network of professional health coaches. She's got an amazing story, and part of her story, and I think part of this imposter syndrome concept, Honey, really inspired you to launch your entire business. Talk about this epiphany that you had.
Yes, keeping it short, in early life, lots of struggle, going through divorce, 2 years of depression, eating every chocolate that existed in Kroger's chocolate aisle, and gained lots of weight, highly depressed, because it was just for me the end of the world. Fast forward, I found myself on the other end of the track, working out super hard, being perfect about everything that I ate, the way I moved. And ultimately, it was in 2015, a scare of breast cancer that led me to really slow down, and for a good amount of time, for 3 weeks over Christmas, do nothing. And by going through rest and relaxation and some other healthy habits, just in the course of 3 weeks, the entire lump completely disappeared. It wasn't smaller, it was gone.
Incredible.
And so for me, that was the start of researching what's all behind all of this. And it is stress, and imposter syndrome is one expression of that stress.
I got it. Really amazing. Thank you for sharing that with us. And I want to take a moment right now to welcome some of our new members to the Pink Power Alliance. Of course, we've got a great group from Southern Company. We're so happy you're here. We've got some brand new members from Intercontinental Hotels. Thrilled you guys are on board. Yay. Just brand new members. I know this is your first Zoominar. Welcome. And I hope you take advantage of this opportunity and also connect with some of these thought leaders and decision makers who are with us today. We've got a lot of big wigs on this call. And also want to welcome some of the folks from Accenture. We're glad you're here too. And I really want to hear from everybody. We want you guys to be vocal. Want you to speak up in the chat. Tell us who you are, where you are, ask your questions to our experts, weigh in. And we've got a poll because we're wondering how all of you are doing with this issue. This is just a really basic poll just to sort of touch the waters and see what's going on out there. And Heather's going to go ahead and pop this first poll up on the screen, and then we're going to ask Danielle to give us the results once they're in. So the first poll question, can you see it, DJ?
I can indeed see it. It's allowing me to take it first.
Okay, so the question is, have you ever experienced moderate feelings of imposter syndrome? Yes or no, pretty simple. And then we're gonna take a look at the results, and then I would love for our experts to weigh in on the results. Honey and I were talking previously, and she said, if nobody signs up, I'm gonna call BS on all of them. So let's see if we've got some results, Heather. I think everybody's probably taken it by now. And we're going to ask you guys one more poll question just to give you a heads up and get ready.
So I can see the poll results, ironically. I don't know how this is possible, but I can. We have 100% that said yes to that poll question. Have you ever experienced at least moderate feelings of imposter syndrome?
Okay, thank you. So I guess we did need to have this conversation. Let's dig a little bit deeper. Poll number 2, check all that apply because we want to know what's behind all this. So hopefully you can see that up on the screen in a second. Can you see it, DJ?
Yes.
Okay, so just check all of these that apply. Do you feel that a lot of your success is a fluke or the result of luck? Number 2, do you sometimes feel in your gut that you're not enough? Do you feel some discomfort describing your achievements? I can't vote, so I'll just raise my hand. Do you feel others deserve the job more than you do sometimes? Do you worry that others will realize maybe you know less than they initially thought? Do you question whether your success will last? Do you think you'll be judged on the next big thing rather than all your amazing past successes? And give you another couple seconds to answer that, and then Heather will check into the results. Danielle will share the percentage of each. And if you answer yes to most of these, you've joined the club. And it just, makes life difficult to feel like you don't deserve your success sometimes. And then I want to know what the experts think about this. The first poll, 100%, and then the answers to this one. Danielle, what have you got?
Okay. So the highest response was 72%, two of them. 72% said sometimes they feel in their gut that they're not enough. And also they worry others will realize that you're less than they thought. That was 72%. Next up was number 3, feel some discomfort describing your achievements. That's interesting. And then I would say the 4th is 50%. You think you'll be judged on the next thing instead of whatever the rest of that. So instead of your past success.
Okay, Heather, leave that up for a minute. Danielle, do you have your phone around so you can get a screenshot of it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, take a picture of that. So, honey, what do you make of these results? 100%. I mean, these are incredible, powerful women on this call today. Sarah Nur, who's one of our featured coaches, she's amazing. We've got Annette Tarabasso. We've got Ashley Hall with us, and Carolina Forsyth, and Christine Roberts, and Elizabeth Harrell. I mean, these are, women who have accomplished amazing things, and all of them feel to some degree they've been an imposter.
And because really everyone is, I saw the statistics before with 82%. Really everyone has that discomfort voice in your head that tells you, not I appreciate, because one of the lines that was the top one is, I am not good enough. In some version in your head running through that. And that is the reason why we have this voice is truly just, we're so shaped by our society, by our upbringing. I can talk more into where that happened, that we are just trying to be all things to all people.
Yeah.
And that's just
Michelle, do you want to weigh in on that? Were you surprised by these results at all? Anything surprised you?
Actually, not at all. I'm so pleased that everyone is really being so authentic and, answering these questions honestly, because I'm not surprised. I would agree with that for sure.
And Danielle, what were the top 2 again? The 72% for which ones?
Number 2 and number 5 were the top ones.
Okay.
Sometimes you feel in your gut that you're not enough, and you worry others will realize you know less than they thought.
Okay.
Which is the same thing. It really is the same thing.
Is.
It's just your perception versus somebody else's perception.
Absolutely.
It's about not being good enough.
All right. So, Hanny and I were talking before this, and she was saying the problem here is, why do we have imposter syndrome? Why is this such a challenge for women? Honey was talking about the fact that we have 60,000. I'm stealing her statistics because I love them.
That's
so
okay. Go for it.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to own it. We have 60,000 thoughts every day, and 80% are negative, and 90% we had yesterday. Talk about this and why this is so concerning and what we can do about it.
Well, I think it's important to realize that we are, first we need to realize that the cause of it all is the chitter-chatter voice in our head, which has been shaped through our early childhood upbringing when we're up to age 6.
Wait a minute. The reason is the voice in our head. It's not because somebody said no. It's not because somebody else got the job. That's not why we feel the imposter. We feel it because of our own voice in our head. So go ahead, continue.
Yeah, and I think the important part is we say our own voice, and actually that is, it sounds like our voice, but those are not our thoughts. The voices that come into your head is a program that has been established in typically the first 6 to 7 years when we're kids. Our brain wave during that time is in a brain wave called theta. It's the same brain wave that you experience when you fall asleep and when you wake up in the morning. And it's the brain wave that is the same brain wave when you're in the hypnosis. So a child in the early years looks around and sees, I'm only lovable if I do this. I'm only lovable if I do that. If I don't answer the question at my teacher in school, but somebody else does, I realize I'm only loved when I know information. She gets elevated, I got ignored. So we create all of these voices in our head. And I think the important part, and what I really want to make sure everybody can realize is that you are not the voice. And I'm happy to do a quick example, Cynthia, if you allow, that really allows everyone to identify with that, because what I'm telling you is that you can observe the voice in your head. And if you can observe the voice in your head, that begs a really important question. Who are you? Are you the one giving the thoughts, or are you the one observing? You cannot be both at once. And so I'm going to give a quick example. If I'm about to make a statement, and I would ask you to put your name in front of the statement. So Michelle, you would say, Michelle, and the rest of the statement is, here it goes. you are a bad mother. And I'm asking you, when you think about that, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Michelle, you want to answer?
Yes, honestly,
So,
Michelle, come
I
on,
feel
girl.
like I
Give
feel
it to
like,
me.
honey, you're in my head because I think that is a great fear of mine. I'm a single mom, you know, and I have a teenage daughter. And when you're having to work and be the best at work and come home and be mother, father, counselor, friend, and when you're not their friend or you're not doing what they want, and then they are responding to you in a way that you think, you know, is not respectful, you start feeling like you're ill-equipped and you are a bad mother. When your child is frustrated or crying and they won't tell you what's wrong and you don't have the solution, you really can't fix everything. You can't be everything to everyone. It's a huge letdown that you question yourself every day. For me,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, am I a good parent?
Yeah, I think that's really beautiful, Michelle. I can certainly relate. I've got two boys. And I think the problem here and the point you're trying to make, honey, is that with all these thoughts and they're recurring. I mean, that thought that she described, that, you know, I have that every other day. So that's the problem, right? Is that we reiterate this over and over and over again. And then it's like you've got this tape recording. So what do you do to get rid of that? Replay.
Yeah.
Get rid of the replay button.
So we have established that the thoughts aren't your thoughts. It's a voice, it's a program. So the first thing that I invite everyone to do is to use your emotions as the trigger for you to pause. So you feel sad, you feel anxious, and you say, hold on, there's something happening. I need to pause. The second thing I'm going to ask you is to, and Michelle, you just did this beautifully. You told us about what is happening in your head, but I'm asking you to become really specific, to really listen to the voice. What's the voice really saying? Why am I a bad mom? Because I don't do this and I don't do that, and Susie makes this better than I do. And if I had a father in the house, then this would be happening. Really start listening. And then third, you want to identify, do you agree with that voice?
I mean, so this is really the crux of it, to discredit that voice. And I love the event that we had last fall. We had the CEO of Signature Financial, and she said to herself, I can't have another baby. I'm 45 and CEO of this big company. And then she said, wait a minute, who said that? I'm going to go home and have that baby. And sure enough, she had the baby. And just the other day, I had a call with the Chief Strategy and Marketing Officer of Equifax, Julia Houston. She's going to be one of our speakers at the fall event. And she said she feels like an imposter all the time. I've got goosebumps. I said, can I share that with everybody on Thursday? And she said, yes. I said, because people need to know it's all of us at all levels. So how is this resonating with you, Danielle, when you hear this conversation? Do you have any epiphanies? And share what's worked for you in your career trajectory.
Yeah, so I would say for myself, I don't have children. I am not married, so I don't have those sort of inner thinkings. However, as a woman who is successful and single and having to undertake caretaking of my relatives and my father, it has its own share of stressors. And I would say, you know, for those who don't have children, don't feel like your feelings of imposter syndrome don't matter because they're not quantified in the same way as others, right? They are still valid. What I have done for myself, I still try to consider myself a young professional, but I don't know if it still makes sense these days because I'm almost 40. However, my golden juice has been my circle of genius is what I call them. They are women, men, friends, mentors, sponsors who push me, who help me to see outside the realm of my thinking, to help me rationalize some of the thoughts that I have, the overanalyzing thoughts and the critical thoughts that I have, and who see opportunities for me that I don't see for myself. I don't think starting my career, I saw myself as a DEI leader, but those people helped me see that for myself.
So when you lose your objectivity, you reach out to this tribe and you get your input, and then you're like, okay, I really am awesome.
Yeah, and I would say one more thing, just soundbite, because I know Cynthia likes sound bites. I believe firmly that every day is a battle because, life is hard. And so I like to think, every day you encounter things that kind of crumble at you, but you go home, you patch up the wounds, you wipe off the blood from the battle, and you go back out there. And that's the part, like, go back out and keep going is the biggest thing I try to strive for.
All right, let's go to some of the folks who've been watching. Yes, I'm going to call on you guys. First, Annette Tarabasso, who is also one of Pink's extraordinary featured coaches. Hey, Annette, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you,
Awesome.
Cynthia.
Great to see you. You look beautiful in your blue. What do you think of this conversation?
So I just wanted to add one thing. I actually put my hand up. So when we have these thoughts in our head about I say it's the perfect woman. So we idealize thoughts in our head about the perfect woman that, is a superhero, that does this for their children, this for their spouse, this at work. They do it all. They're, driving the right way, whatever it is. It's all personal and individualized. We each have this idea of what the perfect woman is. The perfect woman, what I do is when you have those thoughts, the perfect woman is not real. The perfect woman is not a spouse. The perfect woman is not a mother. The perfect woman is not a daughter. The perfect woman does not have a job. The perfect woman does not need to eat. The perfect woman in our head is not real. So sorry for my French, but you just have to tell the bitch to shut up and go away.
Michelle and Honey's got her hand up. What do you think of that?
I'm with you on that. The only thing I would propose is to create a more loving relationship actually with the voice, because when we start, not like you're just trying to shut her up, and I know exactly what you mean, but I'm like, no, that's not me. I think that's what I'm hearing. It's like, that's not me, and I am good the way I am. But if I become
well, it's not that it's not me, is she's not real. Those ideas that we have, they're false.
You're absolutely correct. I totally agree with you. To overcome the voice, it's helpful to engage with the voice and say, hold on, do I agree with you? Which part are you telling me right now? Is it the part that, what does a perfect mom actually look like for you? Well, a perfect mom always gets up in the morning and gives my daughter a kiss in the morning and tucks her and puts her in breakfast. Like, is that even realistic? And we get already a little bit into the solution, but it's helpful to build up this relationship.
Okay, so honey, what you're saying is do what Annette said, wait a minute, shut the whatever up. And now let's take a look at, the positive characteristics and focus more on that and reiterate that. So that becomes the mantra rather than the negative. Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is that we actually need to start truly listening, not just identifying. What we do today is that we identify with the voice. Something pops up and it says, I'm not good enough doing this. I'm like, oh shoot, I'm not good enough doing this. What I'm asking is that when this voice comes up, that you say, hold on, what did you just say? I'm not good at what? Can you explain to me exactly what am I not good at? Okay, I'm not good at this. Is that true? Is that really true? Do I need to be good at this?
Right.
And then
so
we get into
introspection and dissect it a little bit and then replace it with some of the positive things.
Exactly, which this is really the next step after, is when you hear 4 statements about where you fall short of being a mom, then you can say, you know what, I am really good. What am I really good at? I'm really, really good at playtime. My husband is so good with logistics and bringing everybody, breakfast. Can we just divide and conquer and I handle playtime? And I'm really good at this. Yay, celebrate that. So what happens is that we all have gifts and we don't see our gifts. They're so natural, so easy for us that it's just a given. And so you underplay that.
Let's go ahead and go to some of the folks who are watching. I know Ashley Hall, you had something you wanted to say.
Yes, first of all, I'd like to say I'm so happy to be here. It's so nice to be with all of you all and really to be able to have a conversation. My name is Ashley Hall. I'm a director, senior HR business partner with First Key Home. So I work with Danielle.
Nice.
Supporting. I would say that we are our own very worst critic at all times. And even more so in this setting as women, we start off, from a very early age, having very low self-esteem about different things. My hair is curly, my hair is long. Oh, she doesn't want to play with me. But even more so as we come into adulthood, and more so in your career, is she too passionate? Is she too meek? I don't like working with her. Is she going to cry? Or maybe she's going to scream at me. And there are things that are associated with women that are not associated with men. And it makes it difficult. And I think every day in my own mantra, I tell myself, just like Honey was saying, and like you, Annette, tell the bitch to sit down, but you start off at the first day, at the first start of every meeting. I'm enough. I did a great job. These are the things that I'm very happy and pleased with. And then you exude that to everybody else. When we talk about DEI, we talk about bringing our whole selves. But guess what? A lot of people don't want to see our whole selves. But if you're okay with who you are and you feel confident with what you've done for the day, then damn it, you've done it. And I had an experience this week from 3 separate females in 3 very high leadership roles who need to take some time off. But because of the imposter syndrome, they refuse to take off and they are suffering immensely. Yeah. And so, it's important for you to get it out, to say it, and then you figure out your own way. And then just live your fabulousness every day. Every day is not going to be a great day, but every day you can say, you know what, I did the best that I could and I'm doing great. And just letting me share that.
Go off, Ashley.
I want to, and that takes us down another path. I'm really glad you shared that, Ashley. Working Mother Media did a survey recently, and they found that half of the women of color that they surveyed plan to leave their jobs in the next 2 years. And they point to feelings of being marginalized. And this makes it easier to feel that imposter syndrome. And the article went on to say it also leads to burnout, to your point. And already women in general, especially women of color, experience a lot of self-doubt, the feeling that we don't belong in corporate America. Ruchika Tolshan, who wrote about this for the Harvard Business Review, she used to be the editor and writer at Pink. She talked about the fact that we need to stop telling women they have the imposter syndrome. That was the headline. And her point is that, it really relates to the fact that women are marginalized and there are stereotypes that we talked about and racism within the corporate culture. Mm-hmm. And this shouldn't be a one-by-one solution, that there should be some onus put on organizations to deal with this rather than just women ourselves. So Danielle and Michelle, I'm interested, especially as DEI and DEI leader, Danielle, what can organizations do? What would you like to see companies do to make this less of an issue for women?
So that's a good point to raise. At an organizational level, it is probably even more important that we understand how to support women, right? So whether that be through our benefits that we offer to women, one of the things our organization did was shifting from just maternal leave to paternal leave. So that can apply to anyone who is going through the process of being a parent. When you think about development, thinking about organizations that are partnerships that align with the goals of the functions of your business. So for us, one of our biggest pieces is construction. So the National Women in Construction Organization, and how we can offer that as a resource to our women so that they feel supported by the community within the work that they do. And it's social and it's also professional. Those are just some examples that come to mind.
That's great. And Michelle, did you want to jump in on that one too?
For sure. I agree with everything that Danielle says. And really, it's really about, feeling supported.
Yes.
If you're doing a great job at work, getting that feedback. And so when you go and you say, I need time off, not feeling like you're going to put the company or your teammates at some type of risk because you're now asking for something when you've given so much, it's really should be a give and take to just, support you as well as you've been supporting everyone on the team.
Okay, that's a great suggestion. So just a little recap, and then Honey, I want you to jump in, and then we're going to go into some quick breakout groups. We talked a lot about the distortions in our heads, realizing we have emotion around this, identifying your thoughts that cause the anxiety, that voice in your head, then like Annette said, and then questioning and discrediting that voice, and then acknowledging what we're good at, practicing having some gratitude for our gifts and successes. Anything else you want to elaborate on when it comes to that, Honey?
What Danielle said, you said before, you have your tribe and you go out and you get an objective view and you get encouragement. And I
Yes.
think Michelle sort of touched on that too, you know, going out and get true feedback. And I think that's exactly, you either can build a tribe, which I recommend anyway, it's always good to have, but become objective yourself. Really start not challenging, but questioning what you're hearing. And we work through this with our health coaches through every belief, because we all have, as we said, thousands and thousands of beliefs that are holding us back. But there is a process that you can literally eliminate it, which we won't necessarily get to today, but just the observation and becoming aware and questioning it is helpful.
Right. Okay. Thanks, honey. We want to go to one other individual in our audience, also very senior level woman, DE&I for UPS, Sue Schmidlkoffer. Hey, Sue. Heather.
Cynthia.
Oh, good. There you are. It's so great to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you for hosting this today. I definitely wanted to chime in because I think it's important to model it for the next generation of women coming into the group. So my daughter actually happens to be on the call today.
I saw that. I was so excited to see her name up there.
So she is interning for the fabulous First Key Homes, and
Girl, that is just wild.
so some smart decision making by me, her mom, to really position her right with leaders like DJ, like Colleen, their CEO, like Pia, right? Strong, powerful women in senior leader positions, so she can see that influence as she's in school yet, you know, and just have such a great role modeling of that. And so, you know, having that for our future generations is so important. For me, a lot of what we're talking about and what I've been listening to people say, I think falls back a lot on confidence, right? We have to raise our next generation of leaders to have confidence in themselves, their ability, so that they don't feel questioning, I'm not good enough, or someone else is better than me for the job, or why me? Why not me, right? And so when you have a DJ out there and her whole crew, and I think DJ, who Lauren is working for, and that whole team, they have so many things going on to really help support an inclusive environment of belonging, but confidence is key too. So I think that we as women in leadership for our organizations need to, not only with our children, but be part of the tribes of the people out here, like Cynthia's tribe, like DJ's tribe, like everyone on this call today. So I'm happy to be here to be able to support that and really try to do that. I do that for part of my job at DEI at UPS, but also with my family as well. And for the men, right? And for our husbands and our sons that we're raising.
I want to reiterate, in case you didn't know, Sue is the Global Director of Diversity and Inclusion at UPS. She's been on the panels for the major pink events that we do and is a really amazing leader, walks the walk. Sue, have you ever felt like an imposter? I mean, you're so senior level.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Always. We talked about that during my panel several years ago, right? We talked about feeling like that whole fake it till you make it type thing, and whether people think of that or not, you know, absolutely. I don't know many people who haven't. I think that the key is talking about it. I don't think those of us who've been in the workforce a long time have always felt comfortable sharing those experiences, or have we felt like the only one, right? And men feel it too, but women feel it more, and women of color feel it even further. So I think getting out here and having these conversations, whether it's a conversation of 2-3 people or almost 30 people today, or 3,000, that's so key, is to talk about it and share, because that's what resonates with people.
Well, and I want everybody to have the chance to talk about it in a minute, but I think you said something that's really key. I think oftentimes in the corporate environment, women especially are nervous about sharing that they're afraid, or they're embarrassed, or they feel like they're a fake, because they're worried they'll be further discredited when they do. But what I've seen is the opposite. That vulnerability connects you with other people. Sue, can you just say something about that before we go into these breakouts?
Yeah, I mean, you just find that you end up having more in common, right, than you did. I use this example with a lot of women leaders who are now in our organization that are starting to have children and feeling afraid to take time off or do different things, or how are they going to juggle it all. And, you know, I look back, and I used to be the mom who ran off hectic and harried as my husband was taking Lauren, there's Lauren on camera now, to the bus stop with her brother, and felt so guilty, that working mom syndrome and all of that. Little did I know until years later, those moms who sat at the bus stop with their coffee mug said they were envious of me. Like, how did I have this supportive husband, and how I was managing it all? And it looked like I had it all together, and they don't think they could do what I did, but I didn't know, right? We didn't really share it during the time. So most people are always, you're thinking the grass is greener on the other side, or how can I do this all? And I say too, what works for you, and you can't be someone else's position, but you have to, I think, encourage others and tell those stories, like going, how do you do it all? And most people go like, I don't, I'm ready, I'm ready to fall apart. But we all act like we've got it all together.
Yeah.
And it's okay to be not okay and not be perfect.
Not only is it okay, I think it makes us more relatable.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
All right, we want to know for all of you what you're dealing with in terms of the imposter syndrome. We're going to break into some smaller groups. And Heather is going to stop the recording now. So this part is going to be 100% confidential. Nobody will ever know unless you want to share it.
Are you talking to me? Yeah. So, Sue and Carol and I were together, which I accidentally clicked the button, Carol, right when we were having conversation. But yeah, basically we're just saying the same things, that it's, talking to ourselves versus listening to ourselves, who we surround ourselves with, surrounding ourselves with people that are like-minded, sharing this idea of a 2-minute, 2-hour, 2-day concept. And so imagine a circle, and inside the circle are dots. All the dots represent the people in your life. Underneath the circle are 3 buckets. There's a 2-minute, a 2-hour, and a 2-day bucket. You want to make sure you're putting all those dots, all those people in the right buckets, because you don't want to spend 2 days with a 2-minute person. And
the negative person.
Wow.
Yeah,
that was good.
Well, people can squelch our dreams. Maybe it's unintentional, but being intentional about who we surround ourselves with is so important. And sometimes we can be around the 2-minute people and they really take a lot out of us, but we feel obligated to them for various reasons. Maybe we're related to some of them. And so every time I've spoken about that, I've always had people come up to me, because you need permission to have limited exposure. So it's not that you wash your hands completely, but limit exposure with those 2-minute people.
Right. Okay, let's talk to Christy Frank. Christy's amazing. She's got a really fantastic company, and she makes these awesome, gorgeous straps that you can use to hold onto your cell phone, which I'm always like carrying, or it's falling out of my pocket. Hey, Christy, how are you?
I'm doing great. I loved the breakout session. You put me with Honey, and we've met before, so that was nice to reconnect.
And what happened? What did you learn in your breakout session, and what was it that you were grateful for? And tell us what went on in your thought process.
So I was able to share, and I touched on how we got to get connected, and it was through an event where an old boss of mine had invited me to come speak, and there's a room of 70 successful entrepreneurs, and the imposter syndrome was coming up, like, who am I to talk to all these people? And sure, it was a positioning where they were asking me about my business, but I was still just like feeling shy and wasn't really owning my title. So some of the things that we talked about to discredit that was, and it's funny being put on the spot because we listened to Hani sort of dissect a little bit of that. So feel free to jump in there.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Do you want to jump in there, Honey?
Well, what was beautiful is that we really walked Christy through the process. She shared an example. We asked her specifically, and she initially started with, who am I? Like the voice is saying, who am I? And we realized we need to break this down. Okay, voice, what do you mean by that? Well, how should I be standing in front of all of these people? Well, what's the problem? Well, the problem is that they're all successful and I'm not, So you start really getting into the nitty gritty, like what's the belief really that's behind it? So she discovered what it is. And then she turned around and looked at all the greatness. And Christy, please speak to that, because that's your why.
Yeah, that's what I had brought up as to what I always go back to, because I started this business when I was in college. They were like, start a business, it'll be fun. And here I am 5 years later, still trucking along. But I was, feeling the imposter syndrome of, do I have enough sales training? Can I sell to B2B? And going back to my why of, I love doing this. I use the product. I understand the product. I have loyal customers. Like, when I had the 2-minute people, my sisters who work in tech and are successful, in my ear. Normally I don't let it hit me, but at one point it penetrated and I was really down. And then I remembered and went back to my why as to, well, why not me? I can make these sales. I can sell to big business. So a lot of that inner chatter, I think, is the imposter syndrome. But something that has continued to resonate is, how do you define success? Like, people have told me, you know, maybe if the business doesn't take off the way I want it to, I've got one of the best MBAs, like doing it, having it happen. So what are you getting out of it? What is your success is kind of what I come back to when I really need to address my why.
All right, great. Thanks for sharing that. Christy, do you want to respond to that at all, honey? And then I'm going to share some tips, and then I want to hear from Danielle and Michelle, and then we're going to wrap up.
Yeah, I want to actually add quickly to Lauren's comment also in the chat. She's referencing social media and the struggle that that creates. And you're right, everybody pretends to look good, and it comes back to something that your mom actually said. You know, we all need to become vulnerable to show where our struggles are. And to remember, we are running on a program that we received when, you know, we were younger, through our environment, coaches, teachers, parents, everything. And our parents grew up in a different time. And so being vulnerable in their early years is a no-no. So they taught you, you don't be vulnerable because you don't show up well in the world. And now we're coming into an age where, yes, feelings, emotions are such a key part of life. And so please be the initiation like you are, Sue, to really help for others to become vulnerable.
Okay, somebody's trying to chime in. Go ahead and say it. I thought I heard somebody say, All right, let's throw some of the tips up on that screen, Heather, because we've been talking about this internally. Here are 5 tips you can take with you, sort of a recap of what we've been discussing all along this afternoon. Realize you have some emotion around this. Identify the thoughts that cause your anxiety, the voice in the head. Question the validity of those thoughts. Decide not to give them power, or maybe to be around the people who bring you down, as we discussed. And then acknowledge your gifts and celebrate that. I think so often we have these extraordinary achievements, and then boom, we just move on to the next one, and we don't stop to take a breath and say, wow, I did that. That's pretty amazing. And Michelle, and let's see, Michelle and DJ, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
I would just say, remember that feelings are not facts. So, you know, it's temperamental, it's an emotion. And just because you feel it does not mean it is a real, tangible, logical thought that you have. So give yourself grace.
Yes, and I would second that, Danielle. I think it's all about just, you know, trusting that you're doing your best every day, being prepared for the day where appropriate, if it's, you know, business. And, you know, forgive yourself when you make a mistake. If it is a mistake that you could have avoided, and you work on it and try to be better the next day. I
love that. Honey, any final thoughts for us?
I just want to echo, I just love hearing, you know, this awareness. It's really about awareness. When you have a feeling sad or anxious, stop and start listening. First step. Nothing happens without that.
Awesome. Oh my gosh, you guys have been so great. Thank you for everyone who chimed in, who's here as a participant, and our 3 speakers for taking time out of their crazy, big, busy day to share their wisdom and experience with us. I want to share a little bit about what's coming up next for Pink. We have nailed down the details for the 18th annual Fall Empowerment event. You guys are the first to hear about it. Heather just put it up on the screen. It will be on Halloween, October 31st. It will be live in person at the Intercontinental Hotel in Buckhead, and it will be live streamed so women from anywhere in the world can watch this. We have some super fantastic speakers already booked. I'll tell you who's confirmed. Julia Houston, the Chief Strategy and Marketing Officer of Equifax. Richard Kopelman, who's the CEO and Managing Partner of Aprio. Chris Robbins, she is the Business Unit CEO for Newell Brands. Julian Smith, Chief Development Officer for IHG Hotels and Resorts. Brandy Thomas, Chief Audit Exec and Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer for General Electric, crazy. And the top anchor woman out of Atlanta, Courtney Bryant, who's the evening anchor over at Fox 5 WAGA TV. So this one I believe is going to sell out, judging by how easy it was to book everybody. If you're a member of the Pink Power Alliance, and I know not all of you are, you know who you are. So definitely sign up for your membership. As part of being a new member, you will get a free coaching session with one of our extraordinary coaches, some of whom you've heard from today, including Hani is one of our coaches, as is Annette Tarabasso. Also, you receive a 30% discount to the Pink event in person. You get to watch it for free. If you want to watch it on live stream as well. Then in August, we're going to be doing another Pink Power Alliance Zoom webinar, this one on staying engaged at work. We want to find out how the best companies are getting their employees to stay engaged and how women themselves can feel more enthusiastic and less burned out by their jobs. So I think Heather can share some links for you to the upcoming Pink event in the fall. She also can share a link for you to more details and the way to sign up for the Pink Power Alliance. We'll be following this up with a recap, if I can get it together, because it comes out day after tomorrow. So make sure to look at that. If you are a member, you will receive access to all these videos. So we're going to go ahead and say goodbye now and stop the recording, and we're going to invite the members to stick around to network with these women decision makers. So until next time, see you guys soon. Take care and fight those voices because you're awesome.
Have a great day, everyone.